Good afternoon, everybody. How are you? Glenn, good to see you. Luke, welcome. Jim, Richard, it's a pleasure. I did respond to your question, Chad. If you look, just simply send an email to Rachel, R-A-C-H-E-L, at backtothefuturetrading.com, and she'll get you sorted and actually get your response back. We will get you on the path. 7 years, man. It's been 7 years. What happened that you came back to trading? Type in there, curious to see why you were away for so long, but it's great to have you back. No, good deal. All right. Can everyone see on my screen? You should see a slide that says Back to the Future Trading Presentation, TimeWarp, Power of Predictive Trading Technology. I'm using multiple computers here today and actually logging into one from another, so we're trying some new stuff. I am Michael. If you're hearing this video, audio from the future, watching on a YouTube channel or a recorded presentation, I am one of, oh, you're still seeing the disclaimer. Word doc. Oh. All right, hang on. I'm glad I asked. How about now? How about now? All sorts of buttons. Bingo. That's me. This is our company. We started it almost 15 years ago, completely fed up, disgusted, and thoroughly disillusioned by the tools and the gurus and the training rooms that were available for people. We got tired of seeing 90%, 95+% of people fail at trading. We considered ourselves relatively intelligent people, fairly good problem solvers, successful in our respective areas of business. And together, my partner and I decided that if we were going to trade, that the best thing to do was to build the tools we needed ourselves, predicated upon a belief, a worldview, if you will. And so our worldview is slightly different. We're a little skewed, perhaps a little cynical. We believe that markets are entirely predictable. I shouldn't say entirely. There's always a measure of randomness in the world, right? You have that entire study of science called chaos theory. But for the most part, generally one of two beliefs that we hold fairly close involve, number one, there are people in the world who have a plan. Those plans are executed every day with or without our permission or our knowledge. And those plans are laid before the market opens every day. In fact, we have an amazing opportunity today to look at the signals and the forecasts that were published for the markets on Tuesday. For those of you following along in your trial, we'll have an opportunity to see whether or not those forecasts actually work. Meaning, if you're here, I've actually set up your Tesla charts and your Russell chart, and we'll be able to look at those signals as well, in addition to the ones that I've put together for the forecasts. We come together 2 days later to see if the forecasts that we published in the public space, both to you as customers in our email list, as well as multiple Facebook groups now. I think we publish those times out to roughly 50, 60,000 people a week. And we come together on a Thursday to see if the things we were expecting to see actually took place or not. So for us to convince you that what we believe is true, we have to give you the times and the directions in advance, because you don't believe us otherwise. You barely believe the piece of crap indicator developers that you purchased junk from in the past. And look at what that got you. So we have to be superhuman, super above board, hyper transparent to prove to you that this, in fact, exists. And I'm going to show you a couple ways that we're hopefully able to gain your trust and have a conversation about what's really happening in the markets that you trade. So If you've been following along, for example, I do some weird stuff to build your trust. I show you multiple vectors, different approaches to show how predictable markets are. In fact, if you've been following along on our weekly webinars, you'll know that I've been using weird things like lunar phases to tell you what direction markets like the S&P, E-mini, and oil futures are going to go. And last week, if you remember, you can go back and look at the recording. It's on our YouTube channel, Back to the Future Trading. I had told everyone that oil was dropping. It was going down. And I had used a very specific method to predict what levels it was going to by measuring how far oil historically had gone down at the prior new moons. And here we are a week later, and you can see that the prices have dropped from the highs, and we're now descending back to the bottom of the range at $74. I'd also been working in the Facebook groups all week talking about the fact that the E-mini S&P was going to drop at its its new moon. That is not an FM, that is an NM. And you may be thinking to yourself, well, why does this work? And moon stuff, and it's all strange. But I'm showing you one way that institutions and I know how people in society are going to predictably behave. Now, today is a first quarter day. If we go and we look at the lunar calendar, and we take the first website that pops up, can you guys see where it says first quarter, April 27th, and how the new moon was April 20th at this point here? Yeah. So I can see when the next signals are coming up. And we talked about this last week. In a Facebook post, I actually took a screenshot of it earlier. When the market was falling, I was showing people what level the ES would fall to. But James, can you see what it says right here? This was yesterday. We'll start seeing the trend reverse, market holding ranges when we get into the first quarter phase tomorrow. So yesterday, to about 80,000 people across 6 different trading groups for the S&P, I told them the trend is going to go up tomorrow. And James, here we are. Here's the first quarter day. And you'll notice it's doing exactly what I said, based completely on a pattern that we can look at over years and years and years worth of data. We can measure how far the last sequence went. We know the day that it's going to happen. And we can have some sense, some idea of how high it may go by the next full moon phase. These are ridiculous things. Can we just say that? Can we just say that talking about the size of the moon in the sky and its relationship to how price moves in an internationally traded instrument? James, it feels ridiculous. Chad, it feels silly. But here's the thing, it works and it's predictive. We know when the next signals are coming. In that same Facebook group, I told people where the price was falling to on the ES. I drew the heat map and I warned people what layers it was going to drop into. On this diagram, Thomas, I measured the prior 20 new moon movements, and I measured how far down each of the prior 20 new moons went. I'm going to go through this with you here because it's important. So James, I would measure from the high of the new moon to as low as it went before the next first quarter. And I did that over here for 20 times. And I showed people, do you see how bright the triangles are? And I drew the levels and said the minimum would be 41.51. And then I said, I anticipate hitting 41.04 or 40.74 before the first quarter fades. Entirely predictive, right? And then as the days passed, I would remind people, hey, this is happening. Remember what I said. Here we go. And then, James, I would show them an update. Hey, we hit 41.04. We're still going. And everyone's screaming, rally, 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 rally. And then the next day, there's 40.74. Right before the new moon phase, when I warned everybody, or the first quarter phase, the trend's about to reverse. Hang on, it's going up. And here we are. It's ridiculous. But fun fact, ridiculous is extremely profitable if you understand how institutions leverage this ridiculous thing. James, I looked on CNBC this morning. There was no mention of the first quarter phase. I looked across various oil trading groups. There was no mention of the phenomenon that we're looking at on the screen on the right. Someone wise once told me, watch and listen to what people aren't talking about as much as what they are talking about. The market that you trade is predictive. It's predictive. And the problem is this. Our reptilian brains, these bulbous, squishy blobs of gray matter between our left and right ears, have not evolved to remember things. We have a shorter and shorter and shorter attention span. The average YouTube video length, when we started this company, they told you that your average YouTube video should be an hour long to engage your customer and educate them. That number changed to 15 minutes about 5 years ago. And Chad, now the people who tell me such things have told me that I need to make a YouTube video clip that is 30 seconds or less to effectively engage the viewing population. We've gone from 60 minutes to 15 to 30 seconds. And institutions understand this. So they can repeat patterns based on timing moves that the trading public never catches up to. It's always on the tip of our tongue. There's something not quite right. I feel like I should have known this move was going up or going down. And markets are packets of information. All this historical data is there. But because we don't understand what the little X's and boxes mean, we never get to see what the patterns are. And if we apply the right tool to what appears to us as chaotic and random, we'll never see the information. And so 15 years ago or so, my partner and I sat down and built a filter. And we said, hey, what if banks are doing this? What if the markets are more like casinos and less like freely moving random things? There should be patterns in time where prices are pushed up and pushed down. And I'm going to show you here today that it's still happening 15 years later, after the beginning, the very beginning. Okay? We do not believe markets are random. If you believe that's the case, and you believe you can forge your future with price action analysis and watching volume bars and looking at order flow analysis and trend line breaks and Renko bars and lions and tigers and bears. God bless you. I talk to about 300 of you a year, over 3,000 conversations, and I can count on both hands and both feet how many of those people made it. And now here we are on the other side, supplying a tool to people in this community, and they're coming back and saying, I just qualified for my 20th Apex trading account. I just cashed out $70,000. I just cashed out $5,000. What was seemingly impossible in a random quote unquote universe is now possible in the predictive one. Now let me show you how this works. Every week, we update the market buy and sell times on Tuesday for Wednesday and Thursday. Okay? Those histograms tell us when the prices are about to go up or go down. That information for Wednesday and Thursday is published in advance. If you've taken the trial, you know, you've seen. And then Thursday, we come together to see what happened. Let's start with the big boy. Let's start with today's big boy, the E-mini S&P on a 5-minute chart. We can look at it. We can come back and look at other markets like gold, for example, or Bitcoin. And we can ask ourselves, hey, the times that we were waiting for something to happen in gold, did it happen? Well, first let's talk about what the times were and what they were trying to communicate to us. Remember, we don't believe markets are random. We believe there are thieving, lying, crusty men with mahogany desks in offices who treat retail traders like sheep and cows, people whose blood lubricates the gears of their liquidity. And so all of these times were published in your trial 2 days ago. People like Mimi were following along. And so everywhere we see a blue time was a time that the software was telling us, hey, nudnik, knucklehead, put your YouTube down, your 15-second short-term memory brain. When we get to 7:05 on Thursday, remember, banks have been pushing the price of gold down at 7:05 a lot lately. This was a predictive selling time. And all of the white lines on the bottom were an alarm clock, a wake-up call at 8:30. Ding, 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 ding. Hey, sleepyhead, Mrs. Short-Term Attention Span. I just looked at the last 20,000 bars of historical data, and fun fact, banks like to push prices up on Thursday on a 5-minute gold chart. There's a behavior pattern there. And so now look, when we go back 2 days later and we overlap the times we were expecting things to happen in an extremely volatile market like gold, James, can I ask you a question? Chad, did the times we were waiting for things to happen in gold for 2 days take place more often than not? Meaning, did we see the price of gold drop from 10:05 to 11 o'clock? Did we see the price of gold rise from here to here? Did it fail at 8:30? Yes and no. Bala, we'll look at it in 2 dimensions. It failed, but it didn't fail. I'll show you why in a second. Did it go down at 7:05 into 8:30? Did it go up at 6:30 into 7:05? Did it go up until 11:50, down until 12:05, up until 1:40, and down until 3:05 today? There's always one person in every webinar who says, but what about the signal that failed? I cannot have any failed signals in my life. It must be tiring being you. So, Bala, can we admit the ones that did work comprise at least 3/4 of the signals that day? Is that a fair statement? Can I say 70% of the time or more, the signals in gold that we were waiting for movements in actually produced movements that occurred? No, I'm teasing you, Bala. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And I didn't draw the right signal. Now, Bala, check this out. There's a second level to time signals that I don't usually have time to teach about in the hour I have each week. Do you see the handout section of your GoToWebinar chat box? There's a book in it. And in that book, there's a way to interpret every signal. The software interprets it automatically for us. Yeah. Now, Bala, look. What happens on that 8:30 signal? And this is a little side trail, everybody. I'm coming back to the party in 1 second. Hold on. But I want to make sure I answer the question. So, Bala, when we arrive at a buying pressure signal, and either the candle to the left, the signal candle itself, or the candle to the right of the signal candle is a higher high, Bala, a pattern 5 tends to go down like this. Does that make sense? Sometimes the signals go in the opposite direction at the time of the signal. We've decoded the patterns of those movements and built a mechanical rule into the program to provide guidance. Which signals will go in their intended original direction and which signals will go in the opposite direction. So Bala, I'm going to come into the tool and there's a box here that I'm going to uncheck that releases that second dimension of analysis. You can leave that tool running live on your computer. And now, Bala, do you see the blue arrow above that 8:30 signal? It's behaving exactly like the example from the book, right? And Bala, that will never happen. I heard what Dave told me, what you asked for, and I can't do that. I'm sorry. But this is the pattern 5. And then all the other signals fall into line with that. But I wanted you to see, if we applied the higher filter, it's almost 100%. I digress. Last week, I told everybody what's been happening on the E-mini S&P daily chart. And we can use the same analysis that we use on the lower time frames on the higher time frame. Last week, I warned everyone using the data mining software that the price would fall from April 20th until April 25th, and that prices were expected to rise until May 1st, based on the analysis. The next buying pressure times were May 4th and May 15th. The next selling pressure time was May 8th and May 1st. And we can see what's happened in the past when we relied on that information to tell us what direction on the daily time frame to look for trend guidance. This is the only software in the world which projects into the future on the right-hand side of the chart when to watch for trades and in what direction, not based upon some guru black box funny feeling, some unattainable ethereal guess based on thousands of years of research. These signals are based on what the banks have been doing. Behavior patterns, things that happen over and over and over again. So when we're looking at these signals, we can begin to apply them to other markets. For example, if you trade spot forex and you're looking at a market like the pound dollar, we see on the right-hand side of the chart when the upcoming moves are expected. So right now, live on this chart, we see that we're in a selling pressure phase from 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern until 11 a.m. Eastern tomorrow, 3 to 11. The signal this morning was at 6 a.m. Eastern. And you can see what happens from the close of that candle until the close of this candle. We're in the right direction. The software, generally speaking, puts us in the right direction 60 to 70% of the time or more in terms of expecting what the next move should be. There will always be some incongruity, some moves that didn't follow through. But for the most part, we have this cool paper cardboard tube that we can look through like a rifle scope and see into the future, not based on some cosmic guesswork, but based on a recurring behavior pattern that human eyes can't see. But an intelligent algorithm like Warp can. Okay? We can also look at markets like Tesla. Let me check and see if Mimi's here, because I wanted to ask her a question. She said she was coming and she's not here. Mimi trades Tesla on a 15-minute chart, and I wanted you to see what's happening on a 15-minute Tesla chart. You get the distinct impression that the signals are giving us guidance as to what direction to be trading inside of a certain window. 9:45 until 10:30, we're looking for buying pressure. 10:30 until 12:45, we're looking for selling pressure. 12:45, we're looking for profit taking and up moves. This morning, the signal was at 11 a.m. for Tesla on a 15-minute chart, warning us for signals to continue up into the evening and then down into 12 o'clock tomorrow morning. We can use a lower time frame for even more refined movements, and you guys can see what the forecasts were for those signals. We can see the signals waiting for us on the right-hand side, telling us there's a really good chance the price of Tesla will rise tomorrow at 9:40 for an hour into 10:40, with profit taking into 11:20. And if we paid attention to those signals today, we can learn that that guidance puts us on the right side of the market, with the exception of the two signals at 10:50 and 11:05. Wouldn't the world be easier if you could trade proactively? If I knew what to anticipate, when to anticipate the move, versus what we know most of you do. You sit there, hyper caffeinated, eyes glued to the screen, looking at your hyper wackadoo, super zero lag, guru inspired black box AI fake marketing indicator that prints and disappears, that prints 5 bars later. The settings have to be changed every 3 days. The guru doesn't tell you about his secret trade on the left monitor that no one can see. He got in, but you didn't. If you only paid thousands of dollars per month, you can see what's on his super secret left monitor. Or you can come to his house in West Palm Beach for a weekend and eat finger sandwiches and look at him trade live on a simulator. That's how everyone else is trading. Wouldn't it be nice to wait for 9:40 tomorrow morning and see? Are we at a Tesla support level? Is the trend up? Looks good. Let's try. Let's get in and maybe look for a put at 10:40 and trade some options. If you knew you only had 10 trades tomorrow to take, Would you still overtrade and take 100 trades like some of you knuckleheads do? Meaning, hopefully when you see this video, you'll see that those things play out and work really well in testing. Now, there's a difference between the signal and the setup in the markets. The signal is raw data, raw piece of information. Got blue, selling times, white, buying times. What do I do with it? Michael, do I buy and sell at every signal? No. You've got to create a rule set. You have to have a plan. And so there's a difference between the signal and the setup. How do I trade it? What is my entry? What is my exit? What is my stop? When do I go to break even? We found out there's a really simple way to do it. A lot of times we'll be asked the question, why do you guys sell the software if it's so good? How come you're not driving Bugattis and Murcielagos and what's the other fancy car? They make it in the UK. The super hyper car. It costs like $300,000. Begins with an M. Can't remember it. First of all, the maintenance on an Xterra is pretty high. I can't imagine what the maintenance on a Bugatti is. The tires probably cost $10,000. Second of all, we get to meet some of the most powerful and profitable traders in the world, people who buy our tool and use it. And one of the things we get to do is ask them, how are you using our tool? What unique things are you doing and finding success with? And one of the things almost 2/3 of them said is this: we trade your signals with the trend. So the setup I teach every week is based on a simple trend entry. When the moving average, a 120 period exponential E, Echo Michael Alpha, exponential moving average is rising, we're buying at the buy time. And I know you're tired of hearing this, but here's how it works. We enter at the close of the candle. Our stop is 1.5 ATR values away, average true range, a dynamic stop. When the market is slower, the stop is smaller. When the market is more volatile and faster, the stop is larger. But the corresponding rewards are also larger. Your risk-reward ratio is proportional, but it's dynamic. We get in at the beginning, we exit by the close of the opposite signal. Moving average is still rising. We enter at the close, our stop is 1.5 ATR values away. We exit at the close of the opposite signal. Trend is still moving up, enter at the close of the candle, exit at the close of the opposite signal. Our stop was 1.5 ATR values away from the candle. Pretty simple. Rules are the hardest thing, though, to deploy during trading. You're relying on the statistically relevant edge, like throwing a weighted coin into the air. The top is maybe 13 grams, the bottom of the coin is 11 grams, and it lands face down more often than it lands face up. That's why people fail. They don't understand that a statistical edge is being deployed. We'll see if that edge was profitable today. Okay, that's our signal with trend, and of course, we have what's known as a crossover trade. If the buying signal starts out below the moving average and crosses over, closes above the EMA, we enter at the close of the candle, but our stop is 1 to 2 ticks below the crossover candle. It's now a trend signal. It became a trend signal, and we exit at the close of the next signal. Enter, exit, stop. That's a crossover trade. Let me check the questions here, make sure I didn't lose anybody. All timestamps are Eastern. I can take a look at CL, Chad, for sure. John, we're going to look at one signal. Yeah, I'm going to actually show you how crazy you were to not be a customer today. I will show you how much money you lost not using the software. I'm happy to provide that service too. So yeah, I'm building up to it. Can you feel the suspense? It's almost sexual. I'm building up to it. This is like the Barry White music of trading playing in the background. When we get to a puncture trade, let me show you how that works. That was the most inappropriate comment I've ever made in a webinar, but you know, it's out there. We're building up to it. I train this way because I want you to see, Robert, John, I want you to understand why I'm showing you what I'm showing you next. When we have the trend rising, John, and we get to a counter trend signal, I trade a breakout of that. I call it a puncture trade. You can think of it as a failure with trend. If we get to 9:30, John, I'm expecting the signal to go down, right? Or I'm expecting it to go sideways if people are selling into an uptrend and taking profit here. At 9:30, I'm expecting it to go sideways or go down. But Chad, if it continues to rise up, it's telling me that the people who normally sell now are not. The people I'm most worried about hurting my order if I buy are conspicuously absent. The higher and higher it gets at 9:30, the less and less likely there are sellers present when they usually show up. And so for me, the entry of a puncture is one tick above the stop line of the counter trend signal. I enter at the puncture of that buy stop, sell stop in the case of a white dot below. And my stop is 1 to 2 ticks below the puncture candle. Now, the basic rule says we exit at the close of the next time signal. There's a window of time available to us. Some people will also measure the risk that was required and set their reward to a 1-to-1 level. So you risk 20 ticks, you set your target for 20 ticks, and so on. Does that make sense, everybody, what a puncture trade is? Because we're going to apply these setups to the signals that I gave you on Tuesday in the most popularly analyzed markets. Here we go. John's like, stop talking and start showing. All right, John, here we go. At 8:35, we close below the moving average. It's a crossover trade at 8:45. We enter at the close of the candle. John, it comes up and it hits our stop, minus $3.50. We'll put the losers on the bottom and the winners at the top. John, at 9:35, the forecast from 2 days ago on Tuesday was a long signal at 9:35. John, how long was that window of time? Ladies, gentlemen, how long did the software tell us to look for buying to occur on Tuesday for today? I'll gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today. Who said that? If you know, you're as old as I am or older. I'll gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today. There he is. Mike knew the answer. 9:35. The moving average is long. It's white. It's glorious. It's rising. We enter at the close of the candle. Our stop is 1 tick underneath the dotted white line, which is 1.5 average true range values away. And we exit at the close of the 10:45 signal. It is, John, 13.5 ES dollars. Today's chart bears a striking resemblance to the example that I gave you from June of 22 last year. This chart example was from a year ago when I teach the setup, and it bears a haunting resemblance to today's price action. It approaches the blue line, it goes down at 10.45 initially, goes down almost $6 right off of the low of that candle. And then it comes up, whoop, almost goes through the blue line. Whoop. I'm showing today. Today. This is today. John, are you okay? I'm a little worried about you. Are you okay? Do you need a drink of water? You want to get up and walk around a minute? We're doing okay. This is the E-mini S&P today. Yes. James, right here, it crosses over the blue line. We have a buy stop right here. We enter at the crossover. We exit by the next time at 12.20 for a $3.75 winner. Our stop, John, is 2 ticks underneath the crossover candle. So far on the largest futures market we can analyze, we had the signal at 9.35, we had the long at 12.20, and then we had the crossover trade from the 8.35 signal that didn't play out. John, what are we going to do at 12.20 according to the simple trade rules I posted in the demonstration slide of the website? John, what are we going to do at 12.20, 2 days after the forecast told us this time was coming? What does the plan say to do? Anybody? Is this thing on? Go long. Where's our stop? 1.5 ATR values away from the low of the candle. We're going to go long. How long are we going to go long? Well, according to the histogram, until 155. Why are we going long from 1220 to 155? Because that is the established behavior pattern in the historical data. Over the last 20,000 bars, the software has gone through it and said, okay, 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 ding! There's a time they usually do something. It's been happening a lot. I'm going to reward the customer and tell them what time in the future to watch. But the only reason 1220 exists is because it is an established behavior pattern. Banks keep doing it over and over and over again. And you don't remember. You can recite songs from music that you heard on the radio, Taylor Swift's third verse, but you don't remember that the E-mini S&P has been going up on a 5-minute chart at 12:20 on a Thursday over and over again. And banks love that you don't remember that. We're going to go long. We're going to enter at the close of the candle. We're going to exit by 155 on the close of that candle. And look, it's about the same distance of the move as the first one, 14.75. Now, look at this. What happens when we get to 155? It stops, and it doesn't go any higher, and it doesn't go any higher, and it doesn't go any higher, and it doesn't go any higher. Glenn, what's happening at this point? Why are the bars staying the same size and price isn't going any higher? Can anyone answer that question for me? Consolidation. What does consolidation mean? What's happening at the tops of these candles? What are people doing at the tops of those candles? They're taking profit. They are selling. They're selling into the trend, which is what we were expecting to see at 155. So we got out at a great time. Now, some people have said, can you stay in the move and trail stop it to see what happens? Yeah, there are all sorts of things you can do. But the very, 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 very basic rule set, rules for beginners, says we get out. At 155, the selling begins, the market consolidates, and we start moving up towards that blue line. What happens, Glenn? What do we interpret that to mean when it starts moving up towards that blue line? Who's disappearing and disappearing and disappearing? Who's walking away more and more? Who's going away? What are people not doing anymore that they usually do at this time? They're not selling. There are fewer and fewer and fewer sellers when there are supposed to be more and more and more, and they're gone. And so we enter the market long, one tick above this blue line. Where's our stop? Our stop is one tick, two ticks below the puncture candle. Once we are long, we hold it until the next signal at 330, which is here. Let's get it right up there, $8.25. $3.30. Let's push the experiment to the end, right? Close of the candle at 8:35. Close of the candle at 3:30 to the close of the candle at 3:50 plus 5 ticks. Here we go, flying close to the sun. Close of the candle at 3:55. We exit at 4:05. That's $8 more. And what does it do? At 4:05, it starts to drop. So John, when we look at the performance of the rules that I gave everybody from the report forward today, 13 and a half, 14, 17, 27, 31.75, 32, 40, 41, 49, about $49 minus $3.50 for the loser, $46. Let's call it 45 even. $45 net profit per contract. What does that equal out to in theoretical cash? Over $2,000 per contract, potential profit. To quote Matt Damon in that movie with Robin Williams, how do you like dem apples? What do you think? What do you think? Because it didn't just happen in the ES, right? It didn't just happen in the ES. It happened in other markets like oil. Glenn, can you see the oil chart for today? Was the price of oil random today? Anybody? Did the price of oil go up willy-nilly whenever it wanted to? Did the price of oil fall whenever it wanted to because of some report or some trader somewhere or some news report somewhere? Or was there a 2-day-old plan? What would happen if you bought at the buy times or sold at the sell times, just trusting that maybe you're going to do the same thing as JP Morgan is about to do? Leaning into it with faith that maybe your order is going to get pushed up with Deutsche Bank's order. Maybe you're going to sell at the same time as Bank of America. You know, Those guys who pay fines for manipulating markets. Those guys. Maybe you could do that instead of the useless junk you've been subscribing to, because most people have a way better marketing team than we do. So oil wasn't random. Gold wasn't random. None of these markets are random. Let's look at what happened in Bitcoin. Does the price of Bitcoin look random to you? Those of you who follow cryptocurrencies, what if you knew when institutions were about to manipulate crypto? Crypto is one of the most predictable and volatile markets. You can get in with almost no risk on a market like Bitcoin futures and see a huge move, $1,350. You can get in here and you're getting out break even at 145. Candle closes over the moving average, you get in and you get out. There's another $500 move. You get in here, you get out here. There's another $245 move. Today, if you were long at 12:30 and you were out by 2:30, you made a $470 profit in Bitcoin. And the times of the future moves are here. They're waiting like a bus schedule. 1:30 a.m. departing for Peoria, 3 a.m. departing for Albuquerque. And most of you would rather stare at your screens like zombies, watching 98 indicators with all sorts of colors. I see some of the screens these guys post on these Facebook groups. I have an epileptic seizure. I can't imagine how you look at that stuff. Humans have thoroughly impressed me with their ability to self-sabotage. It's fascinating how we go out of our way to do things the hard way. E-mini NASDAQ, one of the hardest markets in the world to trade. Look at it. It's still working. It's still going after hours. And if we go back earlier into the session, does that look like a random market to you, John? I start to get a little jaded and cynical with this stuff. I feel like I'm screaming into the void and no one is listening. I'm teaching things 100% clearer than anyone else has ever taught something before. And then I'm rejected like an organ, a life-saving organ. And the doctor says, all you have to do is take this pill and your body will accept the kidney. And 95% of traders go, no, I lived a good life. I'm going to blow my account out again. Guys, look at what happened in the NASDAQ. Could it be any more obvious? Down at 939, up at 944, down at 953, up at 958, down at 1016, up at 1030. Oh, puncture trade, ding, more profit, break even, low risk sell at the top, down until 11 o'clock, up until 11:06, up, puncture trade, break even, up, more profit. And yet everyone chooses the hard way. I would rather listen, Michael, to my super duper RSI MACD Bollinger moving average crossover signal. And I reference the 60-minute, the 15-minute, the 42-minute, a 17 Renko bar, and a 36 tick chart for higher time confirmation. People drive me insane. Further and further and further back. Here are the signals for yesterday in the pre-market. If you were in London, you made a bunch of money last night with the signals. Wife goes to bed, the kids are done playing Minecraft, sneak over to your desktop, flip it on, put your NinjaTrader up, trade the signals overnight. Bye, Glenn. Let's look at last night into yesterday. John, did the signals work yesterday? You were buying on the uptrend, and then you were selling on the downtrend yesterday. They kept working every day. Every day the signals are here, warning you in advance when to look for longs and shorts, not based upon a guru guess, but based upon what almost always happens. And you're just putting yourself in the stream of the signals. You're doing what Goldman is about to do again. You're selling when JP is about to sell again. You're buying when Berkshire is about to push the market up again. Warren Buffett, if you look through and study the history of the purchases he's made, has made some really swirly buys where a lot of people went, that feels a lot like insider trading, like manipulation. No one says anything. No one does anything. So it works on the ES, it works on the Dow, it works on oil, it works on gold, it works on Bitcoin, euro dollar, pound dollar, Canadian dollar, Australian dollar, the ruble peso, Dogecoin, Bitcoin, Ethereum, on and on and on as we look signal after signal, day after day, what was expected versus what actually happened. 60, 70% of the time, the banks make do on their promise. They follow through on what they've been doing. They dare you to watch and see if you can find them repeating these patterns. And 98%, 99% of the trading public never takes them up on their bet. And so they get away with it. This does work on pork bellies. It works on coffee. It works on orange juice. It works on palladium. It's worked on the Indian Nifty, on the South African Stock Exchange, Saudi Arabian stocks. Every market that we've applied this to, every customer that's bought it, the patterns have the same accuracy and the same signal rate. So, yeah. Why do people do what they do? One thing I was going to show Mimi, if you were still here, Mimi had asked me if I could provide her with the signals for the Russell, the E-mini Russell, RTY on a 1-minute chart. And here's a fun fact. I can go into any primary market and I can add what's called a secondary data series. And can you see here, Dorian? I told the software to take the predictions from the 1-minute NASDAQ and overlay them on top of the 1-minute Russell signals. Did you know you could do that? You could do that. You could take oil futures predictive times and lay them on top of the E-mini S&P. You can take gold futures times and lay them on top of any foreign exchange currency. And sometimes the results are surprisingly more accurate than the primary. So Mimi, if you watch this video later, yeah, I have traders that trade the dollar CAD, the US Canadian dollar pair, with oil on top of it. In fact, I can show you that if you want to look at it. It's kind of cool. And so when I did that, John, for Mimi, who's a Russell trader, I went back and I added up all of the signals that I just taught you. And when I finished with that study, it was $860 of potential profit. Russell moves, I think, $5 per tick. And so in this one trade from 125 to 156 using the NASDAQ time, we had a near $6 move. And so at the end of the day, it was $860 of profit. And the winners are twice as big as the losers, or more in some cases. So Mimi, when you watch this video, it works for your Russell signal, no problem. Your Tesla signals as well. So yeah, if we come over here and look at the pound dollar, for example, we can change this USD CAD to a dollar CAD 15-minute chart, and there are the basic signals, right? So we can come in here and say, hey, what would it look like if we put the CL signals from a 60-minute chart on top of the dollar CAD signal? And can you see what that looked like, Dorian? Isn't that cool? I think that's so cool. That's pretty amazing. So these signals, the long at 9 o'clock this morning was based on a 60-minute oil futures prediction. The high at 2 o'clock, yesterday rather, was based on a 60-minute prediction for oil. And then the 8 a.m. and the 9 p.m. signals were based on which market? Oil. The US and Canada are oil exporters, right? So that would be important to the value of the exchange. And that's just one of 100 different things you can do with these predictive times. It's one of the most fun things you can do. Australian dollar, the AUD USD, what instrument might we apply on top of the Australian or the 6A currency futures? Anybody want to make a guess? You know which secondary data series makes that one shine? There's a clue in that. What makes it shine? Yeah, gold. On the Australian pairs, they're a mining exporter. Put gold on top of any Australian pair. Let's take a look here real quick. This is kind of fun. We're starting to wrap up. We're going to wind down here in 1 second. So if we come USD, AUD, USD, there's the Australian signals. These are the signals, Dorian, with the oil futures on top of them, which is still kind of mind-blowing, right? These are predictive 60-minute oil signals on top of the Australian dollar. It looks really good. Yeah. So now GC 0623, and we bring that secondary data series. Dorian, how does that look? Looks freaking amazing. But I want you guys to see that I'm not lying about any of this stuff. You believe the software works. You saw when I gave you the signals 2 days ago that I'm not gerrymandering the settings. I'm not finagling the signals or doing any kind of shenanigans. And so when I show you what happens when you apply gold signals to the Australian set markets, I want you to feel relief, feel joy, feel like you can finally cross the finish line and be the trader you thought you could be. You just didn't know the rules of the game. And the rules of the game are this: it's rigged. They're following a plan. And you can have the times in the future, they're sitting right here. They're there. I know you guys take screenshots of this stuff when I show it to you, when you sit there and you see, did it come true? And it always comes true. I know what you do. I used to do it. I used to do it. At the end of this, we're sort of forced to answer the question, what is trading? Trading is a managed risk-reward estimate as to the future value of the instrument. What will the price be in the future, higher or lower than it is right now? There is only one tool, to my knowledge, in the world that will tell you, based on time, the future, what the price should be, higher or lower. If you're looking at anything else, you're looking at a measurement of what something is or was. How many of you have seen people on social media or Instagram and somebody who says, hey, I lost 60 pounds, look at me. Or, hey, I lost 100 pounds, look at me. If it was trading, we would all be betting, what is Bill going to look like in a month? And most of us would bet that Bill's going to weigh 100 pounds more 30 days from now because of a behavior pattern. Because Bill likes Krispy Kreme donuts and Breyer's vanilla ice cream. And I feel great that Bill looks skinny right now. But because of his behavior pattern, I'm pretty sure a week from now, they're going to find him outside of a supermarket with 2 sleeves of Chips Ahoy cookies, 1 in each hand. That's the difference. Everything you're looking at, if you're not using my tool, is looking at a picture of Bill right now that bears no meaning in the future. The software is telling us what's likely to happen next. And if you're doing anything differently, it's not really trading, it's a guess. It's a guess, it's a coin toss. And you have to decide if you want to sit there all day and watch every signal and look at every bar and consume every piece of news and read every report and join every subscription service and hop in every other Discord and jump from system to system to system and get in and the market hits your stops, so you move your stops and then you get in and you take profit too early and pretty soon you're down to nothing in your account again and praying if your wife goes out to the mailbox that you got to the account statement first so she didn't see it, and one day maybe in the future you'll prove her mother wrong and actually be successful at this. I just summed up the lives of about 80% of the people in this webinar in one fast blurb. This is the reality of life. This is why we built a tool 15 years ago. This is why we have a near perfect customer rating, 4.9 stars out of 5 stars, as rated by verified customers who purchased the tool, 4.9 out of 5. It doesn't exist. No one else has that rating. Real people with a receipt that can say, I bought it. I'm not affiliated with this company, and it changed my life. Most people don't purchase the tool because they based their decisions on an assumption. You assume the markets work the way that you think they should. You don't have the results to back it up. Today I showed you something impossible to fake. The times were available in the future. 80,000 people saw them. None of the signals repainted or disappeared. We applied a simple trend entry system to them across days and days of data points, plus $2,000, plus $800, plus $1,600 in a day. And if it's a micro, it was a $200 day in one day. The golden rule here is those with the gold rule. Most of you are trading like this kid right here. My MACD crossed over, it should go up. Go up. No. My volume has a climax bar here. My indicator has a green arrow. Go up. No. Why not? Stop, build. This is what our customers do. They get behind the banks when the banks move. They get behind the big block orders when it's time for the orders to go through. There is a season for everything. A time for life, a time for mourning, a time for planting, a time for harvest, a time for longs and a time for shorts. We kick in on the final third. We give you the times for your trading. I want to be part of your team. We equip traders to win and succeed. can't be an island out there. I hear people, they email me, they call me, Michael, I've been working on something similar for 12 years. I just haven't gotten around to completing it. Michael, I've always looked at times, but I never had an opportunity to get as detailed as your software. What is the point? It's here. It's on the shelf. It's ready to go. How can you have these times and directions in the future? How can you have the tools that have been used by over 3,500 customers over the last 1,500 years? Let me show you. Don't tune out because there's a promo code. If you would like to own this for yourself, it is very, very simple. Paul, most of the people that are trading with this apply to Apex investing, and they are passing their funded accounts using this tool. Yes. Because the stops are smaller and the targets are larger, they're meeting the requirements of the funded account combines. Most of the customers are using this with Apex because it has the most favorable rules for traders. 100%. Yeah. How many of you guys are in here, customers that passed an Apex account? Anybody? Anybody who's a customer in here passed it a funded account with the software? Just type, I did. I'll take a screenshot of it and tell Paul. I know at least one of you is in here. I haven't seen the whole list of customers. The program that we're talking about is the Warp program. I'm going to put a link in the GoToWebinar chat box. Copy and paste. At the bottom of that link, Paul, is a yellow box. It's a purchase link. The software for NinjaTrader is $24.95, one-time purchase. If you click on the Buy Now button, you'll see a pop-up for a trading room. That trading room meets Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from 8 o'clock Eastern to 12 p.m. Eastern. It's either maintained by my partner, Ron, or one of the customers who's a live active trader named Colin. Either one of those two gentlemen will walk you through live setups in the market using the software, providing insight to entries and exits every day across that 3-day span every week. If you're the type of person who requires your hand being held, you like to ask questions and see things live in the markets, this is a great opportunity for you. However, if you're the type of trader that has their own system, you've got some years of experience under your belt, you don't need that type of guidance, you shouldn't add this product to your cart. It's probably not for you. If you do add it now, it's going to be 25% off when you start with your monthly subscription, coming in around $149 per month. Let's go to the checkout without the pro training room, and you'll see some wonderful little things start to pop up on the screen, including the purchase agreement. Please read through that and get familiar with the terms of it. We want to make sure that you know we're going to take care of the software. We're responsible to make sure that it's bug-free, but we do ask in return that you don't try to apply this to a computer that you bought in 1986. You know, the one that has 1 megabyte of RAM and a copy of the Oregon Trail loaded onto it. It's not going to work. Please, computers bought in the last 5 years, general guidance, good starting point. Something with between 8 and 16 gig of RAM are going to really help the indicator shine when you're applying on the charts. Once you've read through that, please click on the X in the bottom right corner of your screen. Yeah, Paul, it absolutely does. Yeah, I based that video on this tool, in fact. So Ron, when we go back to my other computer at home, I'm off site right now. And we apply that to other markets like this one. You can apply that moving average principle. These are the back-tested results of the E-mini S&P on a 3-minute chart. And Paul, if you apply that same example with a 20-period moving average, for example, that Sim Live protocol that we talked about in the Holy Grail video with 100% work here. No, you're welcome. Those are good questions. You've been a really active participant tonight. Thank you for that. When you get to this page, here's the fun part. WARPOFF, not in caps. WARPOFF. That's WARPOFF. Whiskey Alpha Radio Papa Oscar Foxtrot Foxtrot. When you apply that promo code, $500 that you would have given me, that I would have went to Las Vegas and ordered a $1,200 steak from Salt Bay to watch this man sprinkle salt down his arm onto my overcooked steak. I would have bought that steak. But I love you so much, Paul and John, that I'm not going to get on that plane and buy that 24-karat gold leaf encrusted steak. I want you to have that money and use it in your account. I want you to have it back. And so we're taking $500 off the price if you apply that WARPOFF code to the purchase price. I'm foregoing that hedonistic pleasure today so that you will have more kashish in your pockets. This is a lifetime license. There are no fees or maintenance fees or updates. The accountants say we should be doing that, but we yell back at them to be quiet. We hate ongoing nickel and diamond, so there are no additional fees. This is a NinjaTrader indicator. If you have an account with NinjaTrader or a data feed that will work with that, then you're going to be in good shape. You'll be able to tie your accounts from NinjaTrader to programs like TD Ameritrade or Interactive Brokers or forex.com. You can see all of that. You can also get an account with NinjaTrader for forex or futures if you want to go that route. There are third-party data programs available like Kinetic or barchart.com, which will feed live data into NinjaTrader, which is free for charging. You can get the savings any one of those ways. We've been around for quite some time, and one of the things that I wanted to show you, if we go back to the website, just so you know that I wasn't lying about that. We do pay over $6,000 a year for the privilege of not being able to take down any reviews from a company called Trustpilot. So when you click on these Trustpilot reviews, people that do leave reviews for us, we have a 4.9 out of 5, which is excellent. And people will say the same things. And so we're going to ask you if you want to look at that. Just go to trustpilot.com, search Back to the Future Trading, and you can see what other people have said about their experiences with the software and get a feel for what real people who were sitting in the webinar like you experienced post-purchase. You're going to get access to our video training archive when you get the software. You'll have white glove installation if you want someone to log on to your computer via meeting, check to make sure that it's operating okay, and install some basic templates on the markets that you're trading. In addition to that, there are secondary training opportunities available. We do have mentoring programs and tutoring programs. We can even connect you with other customers that are trading the markets you're trading, who will be happy to provide the insights they've garnered over the years using our tools. We do have educational events throughout the year, as well as Skype communities for the software. If you want to join and talk to other traders, simply email me or Ron or Rachel. Let us know that you want to be part of the Skype community group for BTTFT, and we'll go ahead and throw you in there with the rest of the knuckleheads, where we provide information, updates, in real-time things that we're seeing during trading hours to help you as well. That's all I got, guys. That's available right now. If you want to purchase, we can get you installed and ready and rocking and rolling. So tomorrow when you wake up, you don't have to guess. staring at the screen, wondering what's going to happen next, you can see the times for the markets that you trade in the future and trade more confidently. Your stops will be smaller, your targets will be larger, you won't overtrade as often as you do because you'll have a schedule of times to follow. You'll know the highest probability times to go long, when you should be getting out, and possibilities, opportunities for you to sell and go down based on predictive behavior patterns that banks don't want you to see. Yes, Kevin, there is. If you stand by, I'll actually get that for you. I get that asked every once in a while, but if you'll stay with me, Kevin, I'll make sure that you get that. So let me get that for you. Any other questions about that, John? Bala? Paul? I almost have that, Kevin. Stand by. Hallelujah. Yep, I found it, Kevin. Where's the code? Yep. So, Kevin, I'm going to type this to you. Let me know that you got it. Hold on. I'm impressed with myself that I actually was able to find it. Kevin. Let's see, make sure. Kevin, can you see that? Let me know that you see that. Cap sensitive. Capital T. Everything else is lowercase. Question. Did you change microphones recently, or are you broadcasting from the International Space Station around the globe? I am on a different microphone, Luke, off-site. I am on a different microphone off-site. So I apologize for the audio quality. This time next week, you will be hearing me with my normal quality audio. Apologies, the internet where I am is not as fast as where I normally am at home, and so it's a little compressed, I would imagine. How soon after the software purchase do I get the code? It's immediately emailed to your email address that you provide at purchase. And if you want to schedule your installation and have someone else do it, it'd probably be tomorrow morning or afternoon sometime. So just respond to that or email me and tell me when you're free for your installation. Any other questions? It's a lifetime license. So once you purchase, it's yours. All the updates to Warp are included over the lifetime of your purchase. And this is transferable. If you're 98 years old and you feel like you're a couple jalapenos away from a heart attack and you want to leave this to your younger son, you can absolutely transfer your Warp purchase to anyone that you want us to transfer it to. So it's a transferable purchase. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. Kevin, I'm going to also email you what you asked me for just to make sure you got it. If you could just follow up to let me know that you got that, and we'll get you squared away. Otherwise, guys, thank you for hanging out with me. I've really enjoyed today's seminar. I'm super excited that we had a chance to show you these things, and I really would like to be a part of your team. There's so many of us here. After 15 years, over 3,500 customers, a near perfect rating, positive reviews, people getting funded with their prop firms. We love what we do, and we love and are addicted to those testimonials. It's one of the reasons why we continue to do this. So please allow us that opportunity to prove to you what we've proven to nearly everyone else so far. Help you get closer to your dreams of becoming a more successful trader. May the wind be at your back. May the golden sun shine upon your beautiful, handsome faces. May the valleys rise up to meet you. May the mountains of adversity lay low before you as you go. We wish you peace. We wish you health, fellowship, prosperity, and joy in all that you do. We are for you. We are aligned with you. We are allies with you in all of your hopes and dreams and expectations. And if we don't work together, we do hope those do come true for you. Be careful out there if you're moving forward without us. It's a scary, dangerous place out there. And we wish you well. Any questions, you can email me, Michael at backtothefuturetrading.com. And if you do get a phone call or an email from a guy named David, he works with us. He works for us. He's very cool and helps customers onboard and answers all those questions and finds a way for you to get this software. So please answer the phone, respond to his emails, help him help you become a successful customer for you. Have a great night, everyone. Take care. And the next time you see me, hear me, I will be back home in the third story attic, preaching and educating and enlightening and entertaining you once again, as we have for the last 600 plus webinars. Have a great night, everybody. God bless. We'll see you soon.